And it's 10 a.m. right here in Lagos, Nigeria. Good morning, good evening. Wherever in the world you're watching from, it's Business Morning live on Channels Television. I'm Ladi Williams. Let's kick off your morning now with the markets. You see oil prices edged 2% lower today on growing worries about fuel demand as COVID-19 outbreaks worsened in top crude importer China. Jitters about the outcome of U.S. midterm elections. Brent futures for January delivery fell $2.34 to $95.59 a barrel, a 2.4% loss. U.S. crude fell about 2.64% or 2.9% to $89.15 per barrel. Yesterday, both benchmark hit their highest since August on reports that leaders in China were weighing an exit from the country's strict COVID-19 restrictions. But new cases have surged in Guangzhou and other Chinese cities, dimming prospects for fewer restrictions. And in other markets now, Chicago wheat futures rose for the first time in 3 sessions today on positioning ahead of widely followed U.S. government forecasts on supply and demand due later today. Soybeans and corn were largely listless after closing lower yesterday. The most active wheat contract on the Chicago Board of Trade, the WV1, was up about 0.2% at $8.29 for half a bushel. And the corn CV1 was flat at $6.67 for half a bushel. And soybeans SV1 held ground at $14.46 for half a bushel. Traders are adjusting positions ahead of the U.S. Department of Agriculture's monthly supply and demand report due later today. And the UK government says it will be providing £95 million or $109 million investment fund to help support climate-resilient agriculture in Nigeria. The new commitment was made known in an emailed statement released yesterday as the UK also announced that it has raised its climate adaptation budget to £1.5 billion by 2025. According to the statement, the program is targeting 4 million farmers, including 2 million women, to scale up sustainable farming practices such as heat and flood-tolerant crop varieties and integrated soil fertility management. Funding comes as the country is experiencing the worst flooding in a decade, which has damaged nearly 400,000 hectares of farmlands, claimed 612 lives, and displaced 1.4 million people. And the Minister of Aviation, Senator Hadi Sirika, is assuring general legislators that the federal government is working to ensure that the trapped funds of Emirates Airlines are paid as quickly as possible. He gave the assurance while appearing before the Senate Committee on Aviation to defend the ministry's 2023 budget proposal. Emirates Airlines recently suspended flight operations in and out of Nigeria, again over its inability to repatriate $85 million from Nigeria. Take a listen.
When we came in 2016, we found out that about $460 million was blocked in Nigeria. And at that time, we were under recession. But because we are up to our own commitments, Mr. President directed and approved, and the monies were found and given to them, all of it, in 3 tranches. And the mechanism was asked to be put in place in such a way that the monies would not be trapped. And so we pleaded with all the airlines around the world that they should see the situation that Nigeria is in and to give us time to be able to repay this money like we did. We have demonstrated that we honor our obligations, and we did it in the past. Then we get these things from UAE that we are not coming to Nigeria, we will ban you from Nigeria, we will ban visa. They've done it once, they did it twice, they did it 3 times. These are things that are not self-inflicted. These are things that happen to our country. And as a sovereign, perhaps they should look a bit more, because this market, this Nigerian market, is a market that they need. We need their service, no doubt about that, but they need our market more.
And now to our first conversation. It's been a little over a year since the launch of the eNaira, and the governor of Central Bank of Nigeria, Godwin Emefiele, says the eNaira has recorded 700,000 transactions valued at 8 billion naira since its inauguration on October 25th, 2021. For more now, let's talk to Isaac Fadile, Assistant Director, Information and Technology, CBN. Great to have you on the program.
Good morning, Ladi. Good morning.
Good morning. So,
Nigerians.
Yeah, great to have you. So,
Good morning, Nigerians.
so
Yes.
far, 700,000 transactions valued at 8 billion. How do you assess, adoption so far? How hard is it, to get Nigerians on board with transacting with the eNaira?
It has become increasingly easy to bring Nigerians on board of eNaira. So eNaira is adoption is increasing as we speak at the moment because people are dialing star 997. What I would say is challenging is actually how to show the whole world a secure and an efficient way to build a digital a central bank digital currency. That is what is challenging. And that is what the leadership of Central Bank of Nigeria has been able to deliver.
And obviously, we know that China, they also released their own central bank digital currency, the e-yuan, and it's not been easy, for them, getting adoption. But let's talk now about the redesign of some denominations of the naira that's trending right now. What role will the eNaira play in this whole process?
Okay, so that's a very interesting coincidence that this is coming at this time. If you recall that one of the key objectives of the eNaira initiative is actually to save Nigerians a lot of cost from cash management, which is a lot of billions of nairas that we do every day. And there's a cost to the CBN. There's a cost to every financial institutions in moving money around, stocking money, and even withdrawing and destroying them. That's a lot of cost. So this redesign has presented an opportunity, in fact, an accelerated one, to save a lot of costs in cash management. I think that is an opportunity that Nigerians should take in having this. And secondly, having a digital alternative of the same cash is actually part of the redesign, if I may say.
All right, so looking at other digital currencies, we know the transactions, can be seen on a public ledger. Is there a public ledger for the eNaira? Is it possible for one to just, get access to see how transactions, are moving?
Okay, so contrary to other digital currencies that you are talking about, Ladi, the eNaira is actually different in the sense that it's a legal tender, and it is designed to meet the specific requirements of legal tender, especially to protect the rights of every citizen. So it's not a commercial product, and that's one of the most difficult part of delivering a central bank digital currency is actually balancing those conflicting trade-offs such that financial integrity is preserved, even privacy of people are preserved. So those other currency you are talking about, actually, they are not to be compared with a legal tender because even when you say they are running on public ledger, some of them do not even do proper KYC. They cannot deliver the AML-CFT requirements because most of the users of those of those transactions are even unknown. They are anonymous or pseudo-anonymous, to say.
All right.
And that's different from a central bank digital currency.
Yeah, so you did mention the code, for using the eNaira on your mobile phone. What other features or, functionalities can we expect, from the eNaira?
So it's going to get very interesting. I mean, in the coming days for eNaira, and I just mentioned this star 997, which is the the USSD channels that allows people without a smartphone and even without internet to be able to get on board eNaira and use eNaira as a citizen of Nigeria and as a legal tender. But in addition to that, we're going to see offline payments in the coming days, which allow you to use even this digital cash in a totally no network area and in the physical cash manner. And programmable money is another one, which actually solves a lot of problems that surrounds the risk in businesses, especially in getting access to loan. For example, imagine we have programmable loan, where the risk of default has been managed by the programmability, and repayment is assured. So people can enjoy more access to financial facilities, loan facilities and the rest of them. And another one is actually the cross-border. So it's giving Nigeria a widened opportunity to participate in the global digital economy. So this is a digital currency that is native to the digital platform. So conducting e-commerce becomes easy, even across borders. For example, imagine that under the after the African continental trade agreements that in the sub-region, that we can seamlessly trade, using our own legal tender without necessarily looking for a transit currency to exchange them. And this will go a long way to grow the economy, both in the sub-region and also strengthen Nigeria economy. So a lot is coming and it's getting interesting. These things are strategically organized to be delivered to Nigeria. And I congratulate Nigeria for having this gift from the Central Bank of Nigeria.
All right, thank you so much. We'll keep tracking, adoption and how, cross-border payments play out for central bank digital currencies. Thank you so much. That was Isaac Fadile, Assistant Director, IT Department at the CBN. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ladi, for having us.
All right, now, so it's been months since the conclusion of the recapitalization exercise of microfinance banks. With more liquidity, what are the plans of the microfinance banks, and how can they contribute to accelerate financial inclusion in Nigeria? Our correspondent, John McQuarrie, had a conversation with the managing director of Davodani Microfinance Bank Limited, now DDMFB, Mr. John Ologe, and the chairman, Prince Austin Enajumoye on these issues and more. Take a listen.
Now that you have successfully participated in the recapitalization and you have come out as a state microfinance, how do you intend to intensify your role in closing the financial gap that's encouraging financial inclusion in the Nigerian economy?
The kind of money that the microfinance bank needs to really address this, they don't have it. They don't have it. And that's why the essence of the recapitalization, to increase the capital base of the microfinance, they can have better capacity to address that. Even the 1 billion for a state microfinance bank, we still need to move on. This is just the first level of capitalization. I still see CBN coming up in a few years with raising the capital base for the different categories of microfinance bank, because they see a gap. They see a gap existing. The gap can be closed where the directors of microfinance bank will need to inject additional funding. They still need to inject additional funding. When microfinance bank started, to have a state microfinance bank was a capital base of 200 million. And we expect to set up branches in the state. So if you set up 10 branches, the whole 200 million would have been engulfed by the physical infrastructure and infrastructure. Then what is left for as a working capital? How much are you going to lend to the target market? So I think that even with the recent capitalization, the government still needs to do more. They still need to raise it again, the ban. And those bans that couldn't make it, I'm sure they will be exited in due course. So it's a serious business. It's not just have a microfinance bank. You must have working capital.
you so much, Chairman of Davo Dani Microfinance Bank, for this time. A lot of people would describe the Nigerian business environment as harsh, but some people have said in the midst of that, there's so many opportunities. What do you see?
From the perspective of microfinance, you know, the regulatory framework have actually defined our scope of operation, and usually is targeted at those at the bottom of the pyramid, the active poor, and those that are underbanked, underserved, excluded for the financial. So those guys are always experiencing a lot of issues. But now talking about your question, you find out that people who start by seeing problem and challenges can never get a result. So in the midst of trouble, there are opportunity. So it is that opportunity of full time I always look at. That opportunity is what I search for. And I key it to two characters in a book titled Who Moved My Chase? And you get that those four characters, two of them have already set their mind that they must get to the destination. And two fell by the wayside. So what I would do all times is never to see challenges. I look at the opportunity there. It might be so catacarous, the economy is down, everybody is complaining. Why defeat yourself when you have not even started? Start, take the first step of faith. Once that is done, and you stay focused, you are determined, and you trust God, being with the right circle of friends, then you must surely get to identify the opportunity, harness it, and success becomes your story.
And bad debt has been an issue for microfinance, especially because you're dealing with people down the ladder who earn every day and pay every day. How have you been dealing with that issue? How do you advise microfinance banks to handle the issue of bad debts for sustainable development in their companies?
If you say there will not be bad debt in every human endeavor, then you are really not yet in for it. Because the higher the risk, the higher the returns. Now, the issue of delinquency in the microfinance bank is prevalent. But there are mitigants. So the first thing is that how have you prepared your business plan? How have you prepared your risk management framework? How has your internal control system put in place? How do you frame them and make them work? Because I tell you, what you call bad debt in banking is called risk asset. So the asset itself from day one is called risk asset. So risk is with it, is following it. Now you are aware there's a risk. So the problem is half solved. How do I carefully arrange my credit portfolio in such a way that I can minimize to the barest minimum? Okay? To avoid those things. It's what has always been my focus. The prudential guidelines have stated that, look, guys, you must ensure you maintain 95% prudency, portfolio at risk must be healthy and all of that. So I'm guided by that. I'm aware that people, even from day one, it's even biblical, have a mindset that when they borrow, they will not pay. We know that. So some level of risk management that have been put in place helps you to identify that. You will have one or two that will definitely misbehave. You can't wish it away. So that must be taken. But to say that your portfolio at risk is in the region of 40%, 30%, is not part of our dictionary because of our risk management criteria we have set up in place. And awful time, we also changed our business strategy. When we started, the initial thing was to do only macro. And we're doing what is called group loans, granting them, the artisans, the tomato seller, my 12, everywhere. We were granting them. We were putting them in a group with a president, secretary, and all of that. But you find out that they were also defaulting. So we change our strategy. And the strategy today is working well for us.
And that was our correspondent there, John McQuarrie, discussing issues with microfinance banking. All right, we'll take a break now. When we come back, AFEX Commodities Market Update is next. Do stay with us. All right, time now to look at what happened at the AFEX Commodities Exchange. For the week ended 7th of November, the AFEX Commodity Market summary was mostly green. For more now, let's talk to Eniola Kindele, Market Data and Research Analyst with AFEX, joining us from our Abuja studio. Great to have you on the program.
Hi, good morning.
All right,
nice to be here.
Great to have you. Let's have a rundown of activities on the exchange.
Okay, thank you. On our trading platform last week, we saw a bullish performance across our key indicators. Our total turnover increased by 12%, moving from 1 billion naira to close out at 1.12 billion naira. Our total volumes traded increased by 14.89%, moving from 3.2 million contracts to close at 3.6 million contracts. Also, our total number of deals increased by 4.85%, moving from 371 deals to close at 389 deals. Across our key indicators, our commodity index remained flat with 455.71 basis points, while our export index declined marginally by 0.07%, moving from 202.48 to 202.33 basis points. For our total volumes traded, we saw that maize is responsible for bulk of the change, as it accounts for over 70% of the percentage change. For prices across our commodities, maize increased by 5.19%, totaling a gain of 11 naira 15 kobo to close at 226 naira 15 kobo. Also, paddy rice gained marginally, totaling a percentage increase of 0.07% to gain 21 kobo to close at 286 naira 7 kobo. Same thing for cocoa, which gained 3.94%, equating to 55 naira gain to close at 1,450 naira per kg, while the prices of our other commodities were flat. To know more about our commodity, kindly visit our website at africanexchange.com. And also, to trade on our platform, kindly download our app, COMEX, on Play Store and iOS Store.
Coming from paddy rice and maize, right there. Thank you so much. That was Eniola Kindele, Market Data and Research Analyst at AFEX. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, let's take the conversation further now. Every season, trends influence the production and output volumes of commodities and of food systems, makes it pertinent to leverage accurate and reliable data to track the supply and demand of food and unlock potential of commodities for the benefit of every key player in the agricultural value chain. So what the AFEX Commodities Exchange seeks to achieve with the crop production report to review the new trends in the agricultural value chain. For more now, let's talk to David Ibidakpo, Head Market Data and Research at AFEX. Great to have you on the program.
Thank you, Ladi. Good morning.
Good morning. Yeah, so you've been quite consistent with the annual crop production report. What can we expect, from the report this year?
Yeah, thanks, Ladi, for that question. So over the last 3 years, we had, like you rightly said, we had consistently released a wet season crop production report where we try to forecast production levels across key commodities that we are exposed to and we believe form the major commodities that households, like key staples that household consumes, right? This year, we did the same thing, trying to also look at the activities of farmers during the wet season, try to look at those factors that were key in affecting the planting season this year, and also try to look at some policy actions that we believe the government can take in ameliorating or fixing challenges around the food system, right? We're excited to bring this edition this year also, and we should be having, we will be having the launch on the 16th of this month, so where we launch our AFEX crop production survey report. And in that report, one of the major things that we will be showing, or that are detailed in that report, are our production forecast for across commodities, and those key factors that affected planting season this year, and also some level of recommendation to policymakers, and also how we believe investors can actually take position in the coming season.
All right, talking about factors, affecting the agricultural value chain, are there new challenges, propping up at this time?
Oh, yes. If you look at historically, right, so there are some factors that have been historically fundamental, affecting farmers, affecting Nigeria's food systems, and affecting our ability to meet or to achieve that aim of food security in the country, right? And that speaks to a lot of factors like access to finance, low storage capacities, challenges in across access to market and the likes, right? However, in the last 2-3 years, we've also seen some external shocks affecting the Nigerian food systems. And you would agree with me that Nigerian food systems have proven to be highly vulnerable to external shocks, be it, so we saw the COVID-19 pandemic, we saw the lingering effects also in 2021. Now we are seeing the Russia-Ukraine war also affecting the food system, and also shocks around climate changes and the likes, right? So these are very key, and the question now is, what would be the next big factor affecting the Nigerian food system next year, or next 2 years, or in the next 5 years, right? So these are a lot of worries for the Nigerian food system, and we need to, and just like the report is going to be detailing some of the ways we can mitigate some possible effect of some factors that we cannot really see or we don't know would come, right? And we think this is actually very important, and these are really factors that are really threatening Nigeria's food security and food systems.
And the importance of, data cannot be overemphasized. How would this crop production report, what else can we expect, from it?
Yeah, I totally agree with you. We cannot underemphasize or overemphasize the importance of data and information, right? Because we believe one of the key objectives of this crop production report, which we believe will continue to be consistent at over the across years, is that it will actually give policy makers some ideas into what is affecting farmers, because the smallholder farmers are very critical to achieving food security in the country, right? Because they produce about 80% of what we consume in the country, right? So we believe this report would actually serve us, because we did a lot of analysis, we did a lot of data gathering and survey, right, to churn out this report, and we believe that a lot of this information will be useful for policymakers, will be useful for investors that are currently exposed into in the commodity space, and will also be useful for even private organizations, for processors and key stakeholders across the value chain, right? And one of the biggest objective that we see or we hope to achieve with this report is to see a good synchronization between the efforts of policymakers and also private organizations in driving growth and prosperity in the industry.
I'll definitely be looking out for that report. But does it provide an outlook for future commodity prices?
Oh, yes. We believe in a strong way that production levels actually has a very key it affects prices a lot, right? It forms like the fundamental, the basis for price movement in a new trading season, right? So in the report, what we're able to do was to also detail some factors even beyond our production outlooks for commodities, and some factors we believe are actually key and very critical in that would determine the movement and the direction of prices in the coming trading season, right? And we believe that so we're able to highlight some factors around the FX crisis that we are seeing, some factors around the redesigning of the Naira, factors around demand level, and also the expansion of capacity from even processors, which we believe would increase demand and also further pressure prices amid a bleak outlook for production this year, right? And we believe that there are a lot of factors, and the report actually detailed it there. And very, very critical are factors that we believe that investors should watch out for, that could actually help inform their decision making as to when to have a hold position, a buy position, or a sell position.
Yeah. Investors do need all of this information. Thank you so much. That was David Ibilakpo, Head Market Data and Research at AFEX. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, Ladi, for having me.
All right, we'll take a moment now. All right, now let's head to other markets. We have Will Ibong with the details now. And Will, if the color of your dress is anything to go by, it's red.
It's red, definitely red. You got it spot on. That's for the equities market. We see the fixed income markets kind of mixed sentiments there, but yields are dropping, bullish sentiment. Not good for investors, but good for the lenders, you know. Right. So we're seeing more of cautious trading is still permeating in the market. And let's just dive right in and see how yesterday's transactions, fared. Right. So we're going straight with the bond market, where it closed on a bullish note. We saw average yield falling by 4 basis points to close about 14.56%. And this is on the back of significant buying interest in the mid and the long end of the curve. Now, in the light of that, we saw more buy interest on the 2037 paper. That's what had the major trade for the day. Now, if you look at the Treasury bills market, we saw that there was a mixed note on that side. Although it was bullish as well, we see yields continue to drop in the fixed income space. Now, this is due to the bid-offer spread, which is quite good. And then we saw minimal trades pass through the curve. Not a lot going on there, and with offer on the September 2023 bills at 11% handle there. Now, the special bills paper experienced little interest. Now, we're not seeing much going on that paper, but we're going to talk to Samson Owulabi, investment research analyst, ARM Securities Limited, to give us more insights on what's going on in the fixed income market. Good morning, Samson. How are you doing today?
Good morning, Will. How are you doing?
I'm well. Well, now, Samson, we've not seen a lot of action. I was just talking about the CBN special bills. Can you tell us why?
Okay, so thank you very much. Now, concerning the CBN special bills, just to put in for more context, the CBN special bill is a form of bill that they use in such a way that whenever they over debit banks on their CRR, it tends to be a bill that it tends to issue to banks instead of just returning the funds back to them. So when we look at the CBN special bill, the reason why we have not been seeing much activities on it was because might be traced to the fact that when you look at the short term of the Nigerian Treasury bills, you can see that yields have been rising in the short term Treasury bills, especially when you look at the 90-day bill. It has been increasing for a while now. So this is making investors to lean more on the Treasury bills instead of going to the special bills. And also when you look at the fact that there's been limited liquidity in the market based on some recent moves by the CBN and the like. So all these things are based part of the factors that are reducing activities in the special bills. So,
okay, so you're talking about the rise on the short end of the curve for the Treasury bills, the NTB segments for yields. Well, we're seeing an overall drop in yields. Now, we are having Treasury bills primary market auction today, where about 193 billion is on offer. What are your expectations in terms of yields? As you talked about the up in the yields on the short end of the curve for the NTB auction. What are your expectations for this auction today?
Okay, so thank you. Concerning that, when you look at the trend, you see that most time whenever there's an auction, market participants, they tend to like take caution and they tend to like look at how the auction is going to go before they resume back fully. Now, my expectation concerning the markets right now is that we might be seeing demand go up and we might see yields go down on the auction, and this is based on the fact that when you look at what happened at the last auction, you can see that in the last auction there was a 57 basis point surge in average yields to 9.68% from 9.12%. Now, this is based on the fact that there was limited demand and there was undersubscription by around 47%. And this is based on the fact that there was limited liquidity in the market. So that was what really happened at the last auction. And you see that, as I've stated also, liquidity has been draining the market for some time now, based on the fact that we also have limited maturities this year. Now going back to this market, you see that recently FAAC allocation was just distributed recently, and also you see that the OMO maturities also came in, which was around 15 billion. So everything now equals to around 470 billion in the market. So this thing is making liquidity to be like, let's say, more buoyant in the market. And with this, you are going to be seeing increased demand in the entry bills and treasury bills market. So you might be seeing average yields drop marginally.
So we're
average yields might just drop marginally.
Okay, so we should expect a drop in yields. So what do you think? I'm just thinking back, and I'm talking about liquidity, looking at how banks and all the institutions are managing at the moment. What do you think about the CBN discount window and how that affects the system liquidity?
Okay, thank you. So the CBN discount window has always been a place in which banks can just go to and just to like boost liquidity. However, when you look at the window, you see that net borrowings this period, especially in October, net borrowings have been in the negative region of 3.7 trillion, and this is based on the fact that liquidity is really tight in the market, so banks are really trying to like search for funds. Now, when you look at that, and recently in October also, you see that the CBN released the circular in which they stated that banks cannot access the discount window on settlement dates, and this is going to like make banks to like just make their customers to like pre-fund their accounts before settlement days. So all these things and the tight liquidity in the market based on limited maturities, all these things are the factors that are making liquidity to be tight in the market. So the recent move by the CBN is also part of the things that is like making that liquidity to be tight. So that window tends to be a place that the banks can just go through and boost their funds and boost their liquidity base.
I would look forward to banks and other institutions boosting their liquidity, however they're going to do that. How do you think the markets will close today? What do you think the performance will be like, seeing that we're having the auction? How do you think markets will close?
Well, with the way it is going right now, I think the market we might see increased demand compared to the last auction. I might see yields drop marginally. We might just see the yields drop marginally, and the stop rates, the stop rates might just dwindle marginally. Let's say marginally, let's say maybe by some basis points.
Thank you so much, Samson Owulabi, investment research analyst, ARM Securities, for sharing your insights with us. Now, when we look at the equities market, we saw a massive drop yesterday, 1.82% for the index, 43,000, back to the 43,000 level, and the market cap is also back to the 23 trillion naira mark. Now, but the market movers yesterday caused the drop. We saw Dangote Cement. We also had Guinness. MTN was also one of them. MTN fell about 2.03%. Now, volume was in the green. That showed immense sell pressure that took place yesterday by so much. We had about, let's say, 3% buy interest and 97% sell yesterday, Ladi. So that's what we saw in yesterday's trading session.
Big,
yes,
big
move.
Move.
97% sell. I mean,
43K level. What's next?
What's next for the markets, Ladi?
We'll
just watch and see.
Wait and see.
We'll keep an eye on it. Yes, we'll keep an eye on it.
Yeah, thank you so much, Will. All right, now we'll take a quick break. We'll head to London. Just after that, do stay with us. This is Business Morning. Welcome. Welcome back. Let's head to London now. We have Juliana standing by right there. Good morning, Juliana. I hope you had your eggs this morning. We see the British Free Range Egg Producers Association is saying that many of its members are losing money. It looks like price increases might be on the horizon.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Good morning, Laddie. I didn't have eggs this morning, actually. I very rarely get time for breakfast. Coffee is what gets me through the morning. But this is a serious issue, and the alarm bells have been rung by several industry insiders, including the British Egg Industry Council, because we do actually have quite a serious break of H1N1, also known as bird flu or aviation flu in England, which does affect poultry. Now, we did have a really severe case a couple of decades ago that actually jumped into humans and was a severe outbreak. But at the moment, it is just in poultry, but it is costing egg producers a lot of money, and some are deciding to ditch the industry. Now, according to the industry experts, in the last quarter, we lost over 1 million eggs, and this is obviously going to cause a supply chain issue because, as you said, you know, those who do have the time and the luxury do like to eat their eggs in the morning, and at the moment Britain only imports about 10 to 15%, so we do rely on farmers to produce you know, this delicacy. And then of course we know that because of the ongoing war in Europe, the feed that actually is used to feed the chicken so they can lay the egg costs a lot of money. We are going through a cost of living crisis, inflation at double digits, expected to go much higher than that. So yeah, there are concerns that perhaps, you know, this is going to be another item on the shelf that British consumers will have to pay more for. Perhaps this is something that will be brought up in PMQs today, because we know that a lot of MPs do represent the farming community, which is a very powerful community in this country.
And the prices of those eggs were already on the high side before this. Let's look at other matters now. See, Made.com has entered administration and sold its brand, website, intellectual property to Next. And I'd like to know more about this. I'm sure there are concerns about jobs.
There are concerns about jobs, Laddie. 500 jobs potentially lost from Made.com, which, you know, again, if you're somebody that does like bougie furniture, you would be familiar with. They did, you know, spectacularly during the pandemic. Very kind of minimalist, middle-class-esque feel about their sofas and the kind of furniture range that they sell. We know lots of people at home looking for a new, nicer Zoom background. They were purchasing all of these items, and they just haven't been able to maintain the momentum as we've seen with so many of these online stores that did well during a lockdown. So they have fallen into administration. But then Next, which is possibly the biggest retailer in Britain, if not in Europe, they've lifted them out of administration and they've purchased their intellectual property as well as their website, because Next, of course, want to expand into homeware, which they do pretty well, and they decided that Made.com will be great for them. At the moment, we're not sure how much they've purchased the retailer, although there were some suggestions that Next offered to purchase the website alone for £1.5 million. So I think some people were estimating that it could be about 3 million. Not sure whether or not those 500 jobs will be kept, but for those that do like the bougie furniture and can afford to dip into their pocket to spend more on a sofa, this is great that Made.com will be able to continue, at least in spirit.
All right, we'll keep tracking that story there. Thank you so much, Juliana.
Thank you.
Juliana giving us the details from the UK. Now let's move on to other markets. Now we see a bloodbath in the crypto market this morning, with Bitcoin started major decline after losing the 20,000 support zone. It's losing more support zones. Let's look at the sentiment in the market this morning. 29 points. Fear inching more towards extreme fear that we saw the whole Binance FTX matter there still weighing on the market, losing all manners of support. Market cap $907.04 billion. That's down 7.09%. $1 trillion getting farther away at this point. Volume traded $199.40 billion. That's up 71% from sell pressure we're seeing from Bitcoin, Ethereum, and most of the altcoins. Bitcoin dominance 38.98%. That's up about 0.15%. Let's look at the price of Bitcoin this morning, $18,385, down a massive 7.13%. Lost the 19K, lost the 20K first, then 19,000 level. Volume traded $112 billion from sell pressure. We're seeing traders run into stable coins at this point. Let's look at the price of Ethereum. Also losing a key $1,500 support zone there, down bigger than Bitcoin there, 12.17%. Volume also indicating sell pressure with Ethereum there, $40.07 billion. Top alts by market cap, also all in the red. XRP, biggest downer. We did know XRP started that bullish run, trying to break above 50 cents and maybe approach the $1 mark with the wins against the SEC. But that battle is still going on, and we're seeing XRP there with the market turmoil there, down 11.12% at 38 cents. eCash not left out, that's down 6.78%. And we see Cardano, we saw the Cardano bulls, putting out prospects for Cardano actually hitting, $1 and above, but we're seeing it down this morning, 3.22%. Not as bad as the likes of XRP, BNB there did get to $350 per coin. It's down 2.43% this morning. BNB, they are the ones in the news. That's the Binance token for the Binance exchange there. BNB down a mild 2.43%. Not a big loser we're seeing this morning. Let's look at the top gainers counter there. We see TWT there, $1.19. That's up 6.40%. So we're seeing single-digit gains this morning with CSPR Casper up 3.17%. BNX, $145, up 2.52%. With Tron getting into the gainers list there, up 2.24% at 6 cents. I don't know if we have Rume Ofi to bring us up to speed. Hello, Rume.
Hello, Ladi. Good morning.
Morning, Rume. Quite an interesting morning. Good to hear you're still upbeat, even though we're seeing a bloodbath, in this market. And it's all about the Binance takeover of a competitor, FTX Exchange. We did see, tweets from Binance, CZ Binance there, the owner of Binance Exchange. He did tweet about this. We also saw a tweet from the FTX owner there, talking about what's going on, letting us know that this is actually happening. Rume, this is starting to look like some kind of monopoly.
Yeah, Ladi, I have to tell you the truth. I didn't see this happening in this industry as of now, because we thought Terra Luna issue is enough for the bear market to bear. But sad to say that this is coming up. But I'll give a brief background of what is going on between CZ and Sam Bankman-Fried, the owner of FTX. So FTX is an exchange platform as well, one of the biggest when it comes to the centralized exchange, like Binance. Most I heard of a lot of persons, but I've heard of Coinbase. Then FTX comes to mind. So, but what has happened now is the fact that they're having liquidity crunch for FTX. FTX didn't have a lot of fund that they are supposed to have to push their business, and they have been doing a lot in the space, but it shows that they're not putting their words to the liquidity of cash they have at hand to push this business. It's very, 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 very embarrassing for a space that has been coming up. It sounded like a coup, if you ask me, between the Binance owner and all of these issues happening. But again, I quite like the fact that Bankman-Fried, the CEO of FTX, is owning up, because initially, before now, he didn't agree that the company is going bankrupt, but CZ and the Binance team had an insight to certain things that are happening in their balance sheet, and had to speak up that they're going to sell their token, the FTT tokens owned by FTX, and that caused a huge blow to the FTX exchange. And a lot of people started taking their funds out, which is the best thing they asked me to do as an investor, most especially retail investors. So it's quite touching, considering the fact that FTX CEO Sam Bankman-Fried has close contact with the Wall Street guys and also the legislatures in the DC, Washington, DC. He has been influencing all of the crypto regulation, even though stories has it that is doing that to his own advantage, which at some point caused some backlash. So all of this coming up is saying one thing: trust here. The trust here has been breached. He's also sponsoring a lot of candidates or lobbying his interest in the midterm election that is going on. Let's also not forget that he's the second financier of the Democrats in the elections that are here. So it's quite messy. He's taking a whole lot of turn on his investment in BlockFi. He actually got involved when they had liquidity issue, Celsius, Voyager. But it's quite unfortunate that he's having all of these because his books are so disorganized, and Binance just have to come in at this point in time to make sure that the space is quite of being safe. If we see any other thing aside this going nasty, we're going to see a serious blow in the crypto market. And
we're already seeing that right now. We're already seeing the blow impacting, talking about price action. But Rume, thank you so much. We're still going to keep tracking. This is still a developing story. And at some point, I know we'll get more clarity as the days go by. Thank you so much, Rume.
It's my pleasure. I'll be willing to join on that. A lot of things to unfold. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so we saw there, FTT was down about 72%. If you look at the top losers counter, that was a token for the FTX exchange. Anyway, that's it on the program. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to join us at 1:30 for Business Incorporated for more updates and developments in the world of business. You can watch this again on other shows on our YouTube channel. Just search for Channel Television, and you can flip over to videos and see all our other productions. Thank you for watching. I'm Ladi Williams. Bye for now.